Celeste is an intense platformer akin to the likes of Super Meat Boy, developed by Matt Makes Games and Noel Berry. The jumps and movements necessary to complete each chapter of the game are very precise, so this is not a game for the faint of heart. This is a game for people who desire a challenge, and what could be more challenging than climbing a mountain? For what the game sets out to be, it has a lot going for it. I prefer to cover the audio and visuals of a game first, because most people make decisions on purchasing anything by their first impressions of looks. I think that giving a description of what the player will be seeing and hearing helps to flesh out that image better than purely looking at it. So let's begin by discussing Celeste's artistic representation. The game is beautiful. Visually, it's amazing. Celeste is presented through pixel art. It flows very well in-game and is pretty detailed for a pixel art style. The colors used during outside sections are very bright for the most part. There are dark portrayals such as within the hotel and ancient ruins, but the game always has some sort of light blue coloration to it. The character you play as, Madeline by default, wears a light blue jacket, so the color choices really complement her. She is also represented by red hair, which I thought was a great choice to differentiate her from the majority of people. Her hair plays a pretty interesting role in the gameplay mechanics, but I will get into that later. There are many different assets used that really make one respect the style of pixel art. A lot of the different levels of Celeste are quite bizarre. You almost feel like you're going to a different world the higher up you climb the mountain. Although these places might seem weird at first, everything just starts to fit together. I think the developers did a great job making everything look amazing. I think this is also supported by the writing of the story, as it helps rationalize the experience the game is trying to give the player. As for the music of the game, I initially found it catchy, but out of place. After playing about halfway through, I fell in love with Celeste's music. The soundtrack mainly uses a techno beat with synths to create the different songs. I'm not a musical expert, but that's the best way I can describe it. The main songs create an upbeat feeling, but also a determined feeling as well. It compels you to climb the mountain and reach Madeline's goal. This doesn't make you feel at ease though. The tasks you are performing are still difficult and stressful, but the music helps to encourage the player. Like I said, the music is really catchy and I enjoyed it. During darker moments, the music feels just right. It's a style that I think grows on you as you play the game. From the beginning of Celeste, the music makes you feel like you're just playing another video game. But as you play and follow the story, you realize it's a little more than a game. I adore the music and I love the art that this game delivered. I feel that the game delivers even more when it comes to the gameplay. Celeste is a very fun and exhilarating game where you play as Madeline, although you're allowed to change the name of the character to whatever you want. It's a challenging platform-based game where your goal is to reach the summit of Celeste Mountain. The mechanics of the game are quite simple. You have a jump as well as a dash. The availability of your dash is signified by the color of Madeline's hair. If it is red, then she still has a dash, but when it is blue, you are out of dashes. I really like this subtle way of showing the ability's availability. The devs didn't use a super flashy aesthetic, and it gives the game a unique feel. You also have the ability to climb on walls a short distance. You are supposed to be climbing this mountain after all. These three mechanics are used in a variety of ways to keep the player interested and involved with the game. There are green diamond-shaped things in certain areas that will refresh Madeline's stamina and dash ability. This makes for some difficult platforming sections where you don't touch the ground for a long time. Celeste also utilizes wind to create forces blowing left, right, and upward that inhibit or accelerate your movement. This, along with plenty of other tight jumps, make for some interesting platforming and things that might really frustrate you if you aren't patient. You will die. A lot. Unless you are a computer, I doubt you will pick up the game and not die 1,000 times. This game, in my opinion, teaches patience as well as perseverance. For people who like challenging platformers, this would be an amazing one to try. Along with the core levels of the game's story, there are also some more difficult levels called the B-sides and C-sides. These levels are devilishly hard. You would think they were created by Satan himself. If you are a sadistic person who loves to torture themselves, you'll enjoy these. I like that these are here because you have the choice to play them. It's always a good thing when a game has more to offer, even if you personally have no taste for it, so long as it's optional. Celeste does an amazing job of looking amazing while also playing precisely and fluidly. When you die, it's your mistake. The game doesn't cheat you, so playing the game, you know that you need to improve. The game will also have hints at the beginning of new chapters or returning to a save that encourage the player. This game has a lot to do with encouragement, and although I loved the game itself, I felt more so in love with the story that it told and how it can apply to everyone. I believe the story is a very important part of the game itself, so I would suggest that anyone who hasn't played this game already skip this section of the video. If you truly don't care, then you can continue to listen, but I will leave an annotation that skips to the conclusion for those who don't want spoilers for this story. You have been warned. The story is about a girl setting out to do something she promised herself. She wants to get to the summit of Celeste Mountain. Madeline is a little stubborn, but she tries to be helpful to the people she comes across. One such character is Theo. Theo is by far one of my favorite supporting characters in any indie game. Theo is kind, funny, outgoing, and tries to help someone he doesn't know at all. His interactions with Madeline were my favorite part of Celeste. Him and Madeline have a lot of conversations as the story moves along, and you get to really see who they are over time. Madeline is revealed to have to deal with depression and panic attacks. This starts to open up what the game is trying to say to the player. Celeste Mountain, although very real and physical to the character, is also a metaphor for the struggles every person has to overcome within themselves. I'm sure many people deal with the same problem as Madeline, or even something relatable. Celeste portrays Madeline's fight to overcome her doubts and negative thoughts, to stop lying to herself and accomplish what she wants to do, even if it's as crazy as climbing a mountain. We see her go back and forth with her literal other self, and how difficult it is for her. We get to see Madeline grow by the end of the game and how the support of the people she came across really helped her find herself. Everything about the story is great because of the way it is presented. Every player can relate to Madeline even if they don't suffer her particular problems. Even through empathy, the player has the ability to grow with Madeline. You want to climb the mountain not only for yourself in completing the game, but for Madeline. I think the story brings out one's inner desire to help another person, because Madeline truly comes off as a real person. Someone with real problems that isn't just a video game cliché. I was personally able to go through the game determined to beat it no matter how hard because of how I was able to connect with the characters in the story, and I think that others who have played it feel the same way. Following Madeline on her journey has made me truly appreciate the game and how much work went into it. From the music to the background and character designs, everything was beautiful. When it came to gameplay, I was blown away with how much could be done with the few mechanics that existed. And finally, I haven't felt more connected to a story than I was with Celeste. I can't recommend the game enough. I believe the game is available on all platforms, so whenever you have the time, I suggest you go on a little adventure with Madeline and make the climb.